I am lawyer to Wunmi and his son. Yeah, in this coroner inquest.
Yeah, in respect of the verdict today, it
Yes.
was gathered that the coroner said more investigation should be done as regards
Yes.
the.
Yes, because you see the two medical reports or autopsy report, went to the same direction that the cause of death was unknown or is unknown, was unknown rather. So because of this, there is no how the judge can substitute his own idea for the medical evidence because it is scientifically based. So with that one, there's nothing anybody can do. However, the medical reports also pointed to the direction of the anaphylactic death, which means injection of substances that are poisonous to the body. You understand? The two autopsy reports says that, and the court did make such findings. Forget. In the testimony of the nurse also admitted that he was negligent and that he was not a qualified nurse at that time when he admitted those injections, on the late Mohbad. And the coroner also went further. So all of us might have seen the activities of Mohbad's father online, and the judge made mention of the father. The father, obstructed justice in this case. He obstructed the truth, you understand, by the horrid burial. And the judge also wonder why the man should still insist on burying the boy even after a notable musician donated a whooping sum of 2 million naira for the burial. Why should he still rush and go and bury the son? And unfortunately, the same Mr. Aloba who rushed to go and bury his son is the one shouting more today that he wants justice for the son. It's unnecessary. It's antithetical. It's highly confusing. You said they must bury him on time, and because you buried him on time without following due process of law, in fact, the court found out that his actions are illegal. They are not in tandem with the law. Do you understand that there are laws guiding, burial of corpses? Why should you not follow it? No medical report, no certification by a medical doctor that he is dead. Because it means that there should have been an autopsy, carried out, which was not done. So the court was not happy about that.
But the court also indicted your client.
Yeah, yes, again, the court now said that the wife should have been more insistent on the father. Oh, they should have taken they should have taken a further step to ensure that the husband is taken to hospital. But the wife should have also insisted that the father-in-law should not bury the husband. However, in Yoruba land, it is not possible. Let us face the fact. This fault cannot be that of my client. What will Wunmi say? Wunmi will tell Mohbad that was insisting on burying the guy that day and say you should not bury the husband. She has no say in Yoruba land. We should face the fact as it is. So this is not her fault at all, but due to cultural, influence and cultural dictation. She cannot. A wife will tell her father-in-law what to do in Yoruba land, except she's not well cultured. You understand? I could see everybody nodding in agreement with me because it's not possible. You say, Daddy, you cannot bury my father. No, she has no say. And again, a woman that is oppressed by so much grief, even the court made that finding that it is possible she is overwhelmed by grief and you will not be able, but he should have insisted, go to hospital. The hospital thing, the husband was conversing, she was taking charge. And the younger brother and the friend were already looking for ambulance. Why will she leave the husband? If she leave the husband again and go and look for ambulance, they will say she didn't take care of the husband. So there is no how she will leave her husband and go and look for ambulance or be making calls when two other people are doing that. But as it is, the judgment of the coroner is fantastic and it's reliable. It is objective. It is detailed. There's nothing to add there. The coroner also went further to talk about the inactiveness of the police officer or security agents. When somebody's life is under threat and he has written petitions to that effect, nothing was done. Why was it that nobody was arrested? Why was it that nobody was prosecuted? And the court also made findings that it was established that Sam Larry, Naira Marley, and the rest of them in the record label did actually assaulted the guy physically and psychologically especially. And the court also made finding to the effect that the guy had been under psychological trauma for months before his eventual untimely death. These are fantastic findings. And again, the court talked about the failure of the support system. The support system is the medical emergency, the medical, our health sector, is moribund, or is it dead, I will call it. So there are no facilities. You cannot call an ambulance, on call and say, oh yeah, get this one done. There is no facility for that. Again, when the guy was even being evacuated or taken to the hospital, the damning hold up on the road also is another problem. So these are the things. Up till now, there is nothing anybody can do in some of these things. So there is a systemic failure. There is the societal, is it a negative response to things like this, and the family also. The judgment has stated, has emphasized the need for father, mother, or parents to be concerned about the welfare of their children at all times.
Thank you, sir.
This verdict has given must not do so until you have read the verdict yourself. I listened to the verdict, and I must say that this is unprecedented jurisprudence. It is not, we say that it is only when you get to the Supreme Court that you are able to see jurisprudence at its best. But sometimes you can see jurisprudence at the level of the magistracy. This is one coroner who has shown that she has got talent, she has got the brain, that she has the sense of justice, she has the sense of balance, she has the sense of conscience, she has the sense of history. If you listen to the verdict, you will see clearly that the coroner analyzed all of the 17 witnesses, including the 2 other police officers who testified, making 19 witnesses. And if you follow the narration, you will see that about 4 or 5 patterns emerge. The first one is the fact that late Mohbad was harassed, was molested, and was in a troubled financial state before his death. The society that ought to protect him did not rise to protect him. He was feeling unsafe. He was feeling rejected. He was feeling dejected. And he had fear for his life because of series of assaults. And those who were responsible for those assaults were mentioned by the coroner. The second issue is this. As parents, we all have responsibilities over our children in their upbringing, in the way we monitor their activities. The coroner referenced the attitude of the father, that the father should not have hurriedly buried the late Mohbad. That is an indictment which, in a way, beclouded the clarity of the actual death, cause of death. We should not see it in the realm of an indictment of the father. Because if you look at it in the Muslim world, you bury somebody almost immediately, because you don't gloat over. You understand me? But in this case, Mohbad was not just an ordinary person. Mohbad was an international celebrity. Everybody will be interested in the cause of his death. To that extent, the father ought not to have hurriedly buried him because of the stature. But who gave birth to the child? The father. Who is the major person who should be happy today is the father. What is the root? But again, the coroner pointed out that he failed drastically in hurriedly burying him. That destroyed opportunity for proper autopsy and all that. That's the context. Again, he descended on the wife, the coroner. That the wife did not take the steps that she ought to take as a wife. When your husband is sick, you have to deploy the best medical facility to take care of it. Not an auxiliary nurse who is not qualified. And then you look at the long hours for which treatment was administered on the late Mohbad at home. When by virtue of her knowledge, she ought to have approached a medical facility. That gave rise to some responsibility, which the law will take care of. Again, the auxiliary nurse who was not qualified, they have recommended prosecution for them, and many of them in the society. What of the police that ought to have properly investigated the petition of Mohbad when he was crying for justice? The police act, even on the petition. The coroner said they should go and investigate. That means that all those who are fingered as having molested or harassed Mohbad have questions to answer. And then what the advocacy should be now is should be proper investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of Mohbad, particularly his cry for justice on assault and molestation. But the court was silent. Yes. The court was silent on that. But said that having wrote in a petition, the police ought to have investigated the petition properly. Again, the society. What kind of measures do we take when people have, health challenges? How do we attend to them? Do we have sufficient medical care facilities in the country to address this? So it's a very comprehensive verdict. I think this coroner ought to be commended for industry, ought to be saluted for billions, and ought to be applauded for unprecedented sense of justice.
So what's the next move?
Well, I think the next move should be getting the authorities to implement the recommendations, particularly the one that relates to prosecution and the one that relates to proper investigation. Obviously, what the magistrate is saying is that there was not only improper investigation, there was no investigation at all with regards to the petition, and that should be reopened. The fact that Mohbad is dead does not mean that the quest for justice for him is dead. No, you can reopen investigation. The petition that he wrote before he died, the police should properly investigate it. And then other social measures, recommendations for making our society better, contained in that judgment. That's a PhD thesis. That judgment is what? A PhD what? Thesis.
Doctor, so you're still pressing on with the appeal on the DPP's advice?
Of course, you cannot see that the appeal on DPP's advice that we are pursuing is a timely one. We didn't see this verdict where we insisted that you must pursue it. Now you see it now. Yeah? The coroner has agreed with us now that that investigation should continue, that you cannot bring it to closure. Nobody, so it's not over until it is over.